everybody. I am live today with Isabella Rowland, but we all know her as Hella Bella. Welcome.
Hello.
So for anyone who doesn't know, she has an amazing YouTube channel that I've followed for a long time. I think I started following you when I was doing FBA, I think. I don't know.
Wow, that's cool.
I never thought I would actually meet you or talk to you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've followed you a long time. And so she does everything from eBay, Amazon, FBA, Etsy, Merch by Amazon, all the things.
Yes, too many things. Too many. I'm very spread out. My efforts are a little bit here, a little bit there, but I think it's good because I don't have to worry if one thing collapses, like Merch by Amazon, for instance.
Yep.
I have something else to fall back on, and that's always been really important to me, is like not over relying on one platform, because I always hear about people getting their accounts banned, and I'm like, oh, just imagine waking up and your source of income is gone. So that's why I try to keep everything in a little bit spread out.
That is definitely the way to go. I have not been great with that, but I'm getting better.
Yeah.
So, well, let's start from the beginning. I know, first of all, you're still so young, but you already have 10 years of experience in e-commerce.
Yeah, I was telling you before the show started, when I started selling on eBay, I was like 13, and I had to have my mom drive me to the post office to take my packages every day. So it's definitely been a long time in the works, and I still sell on eBay. Actually, I've done I think 6,500 in sales in the last 90 days or so. Mm-hmm. So but yeah, I started selling really young. I think I just realized there's all this stuff around the house, and we can sell it online, and it morphed into that. And I was doing Craigslist deals out of my yard, when I couldn't even drive. And I'm like, in retrospect, I'm like, that was a really bad idea. I don't know how I didn't get kidnapped.
Yeah, Craigslist is you always hear horror stories. I got pretty lucky with Craigslist, so I never had a horror story, but
yeah.
Haven't used it in a while.
Yeah, and I don't think it's really in the mix anymore. People use Facebook Marketplace,
right?
So, which I like better.
I think for bigger things, maybe. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Maybe not. Who knows? But anyway, so what do you think got you excited about selling in general, or did your parents or any friends, or how did you get excited to do that?
I don't understand why this has always been in me, but it has, because my parents are not entrepreneurial at all. I just feel like whenever I learned that you could make something and then people would pay you for it, I was like, light bulb moment, I need to do this. And it's just always been that way. My friend makes fun of me because she's like, you have sold everything. There's nothing that you haven't sold. Yeah. I think at one point I was selling terrarium kits when I was probably a teenager, and the terrarium kit was a frog or something that I had caught in my yard, but I had bought all the stuff to make the terrarium with, and I was like, she's like, I was like, you literally sold frogs, and I'm like, yeah, I did. That's kind of embarrassing, but
I gotta say hi to BB Rose. She's my niece. So Brianna, this is a good show for you because Bella started selling when she was about your age. So.
Yeah. Yes. There's not as many obstacles as you would think for young people to sell online. As long as their parents are okay with it, I don't see why not. I mean, it beats working at McDonald's or something for minimum wage.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that's amazing. And I think that's common. A lot of entrepreneurs have sort of always been an entrepreneur. You always hear stories about the lemonade stands or, different things that they were doing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. And I think with me, it's interesting. I always wanted to start groups.
Oh, really?
Oh my God, wow.
That's cool.
I started a little, we called it the Helping Hands Club. It was a group where we would help people. It was that we would help people in the neighborhood, and then we would have sales to make money. So we would sell cookies or lemonade and stuff like that. And then we would use once you help somebody, you would get a point or something. We had some kind of point system.
Wow.
And then when we had enough points, then we would go somewhere with the money we earned from the lemonade stand.
That is like the coolest nonprofit I've ever heard.
Yep, that's what it was.
That's cool. So you like to like bring people together for like
Yeah.
yeah, that's really neat. I have a friend like that. She's big into like organizing things and planning and making a group mentality, and like I could never do that. I would just be like, everyone show up on this time and I hope that you bring something, but if not, it's fine. Like
Yeah.
that's cool. Everyone has a different personality fit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is funny when you're like, you start to see like how you were as a kid and you're like, oh yeah, I kind of do that now.
Yeah. That's
So
cool.
well, anyway, well, I think it's so interesting and so neat. And so you've seen the whole progression of like eBay, Amazon. Like, how have you felt through all the changes? Like eBay and Amazon, they're always changing, and in all the different Facebook groups and things. Anytime there's a change, you hear all these people like so upset and like the end of the world.
Yeah.
How have you stayed with it all this time? And
the way that I feel like I stay the course is like I just expect things to change. Like that's just the nature of life. And I don't read a lot of Facebook groups because they're mostly negativity. Like some of them are really good, but most of them are people who are looking for information that they probably could have found somewhere else, like online. And it's a lot of like pitchfork stuff of, oh, Amazon did this or eBay did this, and they don't care about sellers and blah blah blah. So I just kind of look at it as like, this is a part of my business that I can't control, but I can adapt. And so when like just now they're not allowing FBA shipments, so I had to pivot, and it turns out that pivoting was the best thing for my business. Like my sales have like more than tripled because I started doing merchant fulfilled, and I'm selling things that I probably would have never looked at in the store. So you have to take the good with the bad. There's always going to be something that is going on with Amazon or eBay or Etsy. Like it's just the nature of it.
Well, I think that is key. And that's a great point that you brought up. Just you have to be resilient and change and pivot. I mean, that's one of the benefits of being an entrepreneur or being a sole proprietor or a small company, even if you have a couple employees. You can pivot so easily. I mean, you can easily retrain yourself to do something slightly different. Or if you have one employee, train them. So I think that's one of the advantages and something that as entrepreneurs we should embrace, that we're able to adapt to change on a dime. Like, next day you're all of a sudden doing merchant fulfilled. Like you can change things so fast.
Suddenly I've had to order 500 poly bags and bubble mailers. But I don't have to get permission from anyone to do that. Like I've suddenly had to change everything, but there was no boss or anyone that I had to ask, like, can Bella sell on merchant fulfilled now? I just kind of do it. So that's kind of why I love being self-employed. Like there's a lot of not so great parts of being self-employed, but then there's a lot of pros, like the fact that I'm here at my house in the middle of the day, like I don't have to be anywhere. Like so that's a huge pro for me of being self-employed.
Absolutely. Tell us about print on demand. You got started, I think you said 2017 with Merch by Amazon, and
so I started like everyone else with 10 slots and 25 slots and 100 and then 500, and now I have like 4,000, I think. So, and I don't have them all full, but I mean, it's been a really great income, supplement for me, and something that I've been working on since 2017. I don't have any background in designing. I think like most people who sell on merch, I just kind of had to figure everything out. And once I did that and started learning how to crank out designs faster, it turned into a real business for me. And I really, have appreciated having the access to sell on merch. I try to get my friends and family to do it, and they won't do it. So I'm like,
I've been doing this show for 2 years, and the only person I've been able to get from my family to do it is my brother.
I'm like, drink the Kool-Aid, drink the Kool-Aid.
Exactly.
But I started doing that, and I would post little videos about what I learned along the way, and I'm really glad that I did that, because I look back on them and I'm like, oh my god, you like thought you knew something, you didn't know anything. But I think now is I pretty consistently get, like, right now sales are slow, like, the last couple of months, but I think pretty consistently, like, $350 a month in royalties, and then,
Mm-hmm.
like, around 4th quarter, like, I think this year I did, like, 1,200 in December, which, you
Yeah.
know, it's a good little income for someone, especially if you're not working on it that much. That's kinda how I'm tend to roll with it. I
Yeah.
put the designs up and then leave it alone. If I was more analytical, I would probably see what sold and just make more of what was selling. And I've done that in
Mm-hmm.
the past, but now I just kind of tend to leave it alone.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
you're
sort of
doing so many other things. It's
yeah, that's my biggest like I guess downfall is that I get too interested in things and I try
yeah.
to do too many things. And anyone who is entrepreneurial probably has the same like
Yeah.
problems.
It's a good thing too, though, because it has you try lots of different things, and all of
Yeah,
those help you learn new things that you can apply to
yeah.
anytime there's a change and you need to pivot. Now you have a lot of different knowledge you could use.
For sure, like, I was a realtor for, like, 2 years, and I'm like, "Why did you do that?" Like, I can't believe I did that sometimes, but I learned so much, like, I know way more than anyone should know about, like, the housing market and how to buy a house,
Oh, I
and
forgot you did that too.
yeah, yeah, so and
Oh my
but
gosh.
that literally translates into my businesses now, like, everything, the negotiation, the planning, like, the systems, like, I think it's all anything you do in one area of life usually will bring you, you know, knowledge to
Yeah.
another, so but that's like Merch by Amazon. I started having okay, so I have, like, 3,000 designs on my laptop, and I'm like, what am I gonna do with these? Because these are valuable. I just don't know how to make money off of them besides merch. And that's when I started getting on Etsy. And I was like, there are all these shops on Etsy that are selling digital downloads. And I'm like, why am I not doing this? And I started I started researching and I was like, okay, their designs are not any better than mine. And they're, you know, kind of the same basic format. Like there's an image and there's some text. And I
Hmm.
was like, well, I already have all of these made. Let me just upload them. And so I spent like no like two full days of uploading to get as many. I think I had like 230 items in my shop. Um, so I spent 2 full days like setting the whole thing up, and I'm like, man, this is either going to be the biggest waste of my time or or a new income stream. And I was like, well, what's 2 days? You know what I mean? Like it's not that big of a deal. And so I put everything up, and then like I have a little app on my phone, and it was like ching, and I was like, it worked! It was an Etsy sale, and someone bought my digital download, and I had it set up to relist automatically. And that was when I was like, "Oh, I'm onto something here," because you don't have to do anything. Like with eBay, Amazon, everything, you still have to mess with it every single time. Like I'm unloading my car with new inventory right now, and I've got to manually put in, you know, quantities of things. And with Etsy, it just auto relists, so you don't have to do all of that. And I was just like, this is awesome. Like, this is so cool. So that's kind of that led me down the road to exploring like digital downloads.
That is so cool. Well, I've done Etsy where it's you upload the same design for merch, but then it goes with Printful and it ends up being a t-shirt, like, you know, somebody buys it and Printful fulfills it. But for some reason, I don't know why, I keep meaning to do printables and I keep
Mhm.
not doing them. But
Yeah.
so have you used just your regular t-shirt designs? And then
Mhm.
so how do you advertise that? Like, do you say, like, what would be the
Let's
use
see.
of that download?
I put basically the I just got a sale. I just put the I just put the title of what the shirt would be, and then I put PNG file, digital download. I try to make it very clear that it's a PNG file, because some people want SVG files.
Uh-huh.
And I don't convert them to SVG because I just don't have time for that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I sell exclusively PNG files. So I mean, honestly, I think they find it based on the title that they are typing in. Like right now, I think a lot of people are obsessed with Tiger King.
Hmm.
So if you are making digital downloads, if you just put all the Tiger King stuff in, people who are looking for Tiger King stuff will find the digital download. Um, and so I think about my customers as those people who have t-shirt machines and people who have decal machines. you know, anyone who can make stickers or anything like that is essentially a digital download customer, because these are the people with the tools who can buy your product to make more products for themselves. So like, I know probably a handful of people in real life who have a t-shirt machine. So I kind of just think about it like that.
That's interesting. So I never thought about doing it like that. You're not worried about like copycats and stuff, I guess, because couldn't they just upload it right to merch or upload it right to one of the other platforms?
For sure.
And it just doesn't matter. Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing you can do. Like, you know, you can. I have like 3,000 shirts up. I can't search every one of them every single day. And like, you know, I have a bestseller that people have tried to rip off, and it's on the like front page when you type in a certain phrase. So I do protect that one because it makes me like $1,200 a year. So I don't really want to take that one. But for the most part, I mean, I try to be like, I just try not to worry about it, because one time I was on AliExpress looking for products to import, and I saw one of my designs on a shirt, and I was like, what is that? Like, I
know AliExpress. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Scratch. So I know that, like, and I'm in, and you know, you see it and you're like, well, what am I going to do? Like, there's not, unfortunately, it's part of the digital download world that you have things stolen. You know, there's a lot of people on merch who get upset about the copycats, and it's not fun. Like, but you know, what am I going to do?
But I guess, like, if it's a digital download, like, do you say that it can be used for commercial use, or how do you deal with that?
In my listing, I specifically say in the listing that it's not for use on pod sites. So like, I list pod sites, but you know, it's not going to stop people who are stealing. But it's just discourage them. And I also say that is for personal use up to so many times. A lot of shops, like one good way to learn how to write your terms is to just go to the best-selling shops on Etsy that do digital downloads and kind of pick what you like from, you know, their policies and write your own. I noticed that a lot of them say no commercial use at all. So they're protecting their design, like, to where if I didn't have any terms on my listing, what is to stop, like, say, Walmart or Target from buying something and then making a shirt with it? I've actually heard people had their merch shirts stolen by Target. I don't know if that was true, but I've heard that before.
Who knows?
So, who knows? Yeah. But I do think that there's a lot of retailers who could take advantage of people who don't necessarily understand copyright. So it's good to have some terms written in there. And then, you know, the listing itself has the design, and then I show it on a shirt. So I have like a little mock-up that shows the design on a shirt so they can see what it looks like. And it also has you upload your design in the listing. So once you do that and you post it, it's on there forever. Like, you don't have to send it to the customer, which is awesome, because you know, the less you have to interact with customers, the better. You know,
that is one really good benefit of digital downloads. Like, as long as you explain how to do it and what it is, then it's less customer service. So
yes, the only thing I have to deal with is people who buy the file and then they're like, this is not the right file type. Why did you sell me this? And I'm like, it says PNG on the listing. It says PNG in the title. It says this is not for any other file type in the description. So like, when I ask for their refund, I'm like, I'm sorry, like, no, because you have my design now. Like, and so that's the only negative part of it. But I think there's probably 1 in 50 who actually do that, and the rest are just, you know, you don't even really realize you've sold stuff unless you have your cha-ching sound turned on your phone.
Oh yeah, somebody asked what's the app for that. What's the app for Etsy that makes it cha-ching?
Sell on Etsy is the app. So there's the Etsy app that's just for shopping, and then the Sell on Etsy. And I think I've got both on my phone. I'm trying to see anything else I've got in my notes.
We got another question from Ashley. She's saying, when selling printable wall art on Etsy, what size do you design it, and do you save it as a transparent background?
Yeah, so I would save it as a transparent background, but I would also have a mock-up that wasn't transparent for your listing. Like, for example, if you're selling wall art, you could have a fancy frame and then have it in the frame for your listing photo. And that way it's harder for them to steal it as well, because obviously you that would have a background and they can't just, save it to their computer. As far as the sizing goes, that's kind of going to be one of those things that you have to look at the market and see what everyone else is doing. Sorry to give that answer because that's a cop-out answer, but that's really, I mean, you want to know what the standard is in that particular file type. So like the standard t-shirt size, the standard wall art. Some people sell card printables, so there's a lot of people who do that, and then invitations. So just kind of see what is the standard in that size and go with that. A lot of the bigger the better, I think, with pixels, because like then when they shrink it, it looks better. So I see a lot of people selling like just printables. So even like workout printables, I think is a cool thing to get into, especially right now because everyone's freaking out because they're at home.
Yeah. Have you tried any of those yet or not yet?
No, I probably should.
I know, I'm the same way. It's like I have all these ideas. I'm like, oh, I need to do this and that would be great. And then it's like in reality, it's like, okay, I got a KDP book up.
Yeah. And I think that, a great idea is just a great idea. So until you do something with it. But a lot of people do bullet journal is a good idea to cover that. And you can branch out. You can do bullet journal, but then you could do workouts, fit, money. A lot of people track their budgets. A lot of people do habit trackers. So there's like, if you already use something in your life, there's probably a good chance that somebody else wants what you are doing, especially if you've kind of created your own little system.
Yeah. And if people have been doing KDP already, if you've already taken the time to make a KDP interior, you could take some of those pages and sell them as printables on Etsy.
Yes, for sure. We could talk about pricing a little bit if you want to.
Oh yeah, that was actually going to be one of my questions. Perfect.
Yeah. So I price everything at $2.99, and that kind of nets me about $2.20, I think. After it has to get auto relisted, so it's 20 cents to list it, and it's 20 more cents when it sells because it gets relisted. So each time it's 20 cents, and then there are Etsy fees, and obviously there's no shipping or anything. But I think it's around $2.20 is what I get. So at $2.99, I feel like the customer doesn't have to think about it very much. I was pricing at $1.99, and I was like, that's too low because everyone else is selling theirs for more. There are actually some shops that sell everything for $5. Which, is a lot for a digital download, but they tend to be the higher quality artists. And I think they know that. One thing that I did when I first started was I just looked at everyone else's prices and I was like, how do I stack up against these people? And so I went in the middle kind of with $2.99. I think my highest price digital downloads $3.50. And that's actually my best seller, which is why I raised the price on it, because, 50 more cents if you really like something. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm tending to go. I might experiment with some other prices somewhere along the way. I think the highest I've sold anything for was like $3.99. But the thing didn't sell as much, so I was like, well, what's the point? I'd rather sales at $2.99. So
perfect. So many good ideas. Do you think you'll do a Shopify store at some point, or are you gonna stick with Etsy for now?
I think I'm just gonna stick with Etsy for now. I just don't have time to learn.
I know.
Like Shopify, and I don't even have anything on Redbubble or Zazzle or any of those other pod sites. So I really need to watch all your old videos so I can see what else is going on. But I have I'm gonna try to get the best of my portfolio. I'm gonna try to get up on Etsy. That's really what I was doing. Because Etsy customers are a different target market. They're like mostly women, and they're mostly people who are like artsy things and they're creatives and really like they like to support small business. Like you could kind of, if you get on the Etsy like website and just start poking around, you can kind of see what they are suggesting to customers. So I just try to fit in line with Etsy's brand whenever I'm making my listings.
Perfect. Well, these are all really good tips. Thank you so much. And I guess that kind of goes with it. Like, how do you pick which t-shirt designs you're going to use? Do you mostly pick ones that you think will appeal to women, or how do you decide?
Yeah, sometimes I base it off of what sold well for me on merch, which is kind of like a double-edged sword because if I do that, then then everyone's probably going to see what I'm selling in my shop, and but at the same time, you can see past things that worked and just use them, so it's really an easy way. So if I have certain bestsellers on merch that aren't selling anymore, I might go pull some of those and put them on Etsy, and then some designs that are trending on Etsy, you can actually just go in the Etsy search bar and just start typing in things and you'll see what is selling. And there's the coolest feature on Etsy for stalkers like me is that there is a place to see what, like if you go in a shop, it's possible to see their sales. So you can click on their sales if they don't have them hidden. I would say probably about 50-50 for people who show their sales and don't have them hidden. So if you want to take a look at what's selling for someone, you can just go browse shops and click on sold and kind of see what they are selling and get a good idea, for what are these people looking for? What is their target market? Like, I will say there's definitely a lot of like moms on Etsy. It's definitely like a lot of people buy shirts every time their kid has a birthday. A lot of people buy shirts every time their kid has a, like kindergarten, graduation, like everything, photography stuff. Like people do family photos and shirts. So,
group shirts. Do you sell PNGs like that where it's like a group? So like,
I have not yet. I have some. I have one thing up on the shop right now that's like 2 or 3 files for one price, and that has sold a couple of times. So I might try to do some more of those to try to get the average sale up. But I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this is so neat. So for your store, do you niche down and pick like one niche, or do you have like just everything in the store?
Everything in the store. I have sections, like shop sections, so you can click on the section to see like a specific things. Like I have a lot of Alabama things up because I know like Bama fans are crazy and they actually buy a lot of like football gear. So as long as you're not, using a trademark or anything, it's totally fun to put, the state of any state. And put a football on it or whatever. A lot of people want to buy things that they can put on a mug or put on a sticker on the back of their car. So it just goes into thinking like, okay, even when I go out and look around, I always see what people have on and what they have, on their car and anything that they're using, and kind of be like, I could make that. Like, I feel like this is something that people would like.
Yeah, that's a great way. Just seeing what's around. Let's take a moment to say hi to everybody. We got Jacqueline here, Laura, Burke, Bibliophile asked, do you do all the designs yourself?
Yes. I know a lot of people who outsource, and I think that's a great idea too. I've tried a little bit of outsourcing, but by the time that I give the person directions and have to follow up with them and give them more directions and then correct what they did, I'm like, I could have just done this myself. So, it takes a long time to find a designer that you can work with. I think you can definitely do it though. You just have to do the trial and error thing of finding a good designer. But I think a lot of people use Upwork to find designers and Fiverr. So, but yeah, for me, I just do everything myself on PicMonkey. So that's kind of it's a very basic program, but it's worked for me. So it's $7.99 a month. So it's not like breaking the bank or anything if I don't do it.
That's a good one. Ashley's saying too many ideas, not enough time.
For sure.
Teresa is saying, do you find your sales are mostly text only or a graphic with text design?
That's a great question. Mostly I sell things that are graphic with text. Seems like most people want both. I do have a few that are just graphics, and a few that are just text. So, but for the most part, the combination works the best. when I'm trying to sell something to someone, I honestly like, how is this going to elicit an emotional response so that they click the buy button? And that ties into political things, causes, human rights, anything that people are arguing on Facebook about is what like
that's such a good point. We should really talk about that. I love how your mind works. You're so entrepreneurial and think of all the right things. So that is so true. If someone's going to click buy, like it's probably because they had a emotional response to what you said.
Yeah, that's kind of how I make my purchasing decisions as well. Like I bought off eBay this morning, and I think I was buying weights, and I was like, I'm gonna be so fit, and I'm like clicking buy, and it's like you're seeing the version of yourself that has this product, and that's what makes people spend their money. Is just, how is this gonna make my life better? Like, why am I willing to trade my hard-earned dollars for this? Like, so I think that like business psychology is really important to me, because if you understand your customer and you understand how they think and what they want, then you can make things again and again to sell to them. Because I have repeat customers who come to my Etsy shop, and I'm like, okay, what is this lady thinking? Like, why is she why is she buying this? Like, so it's really, I think it's a good thing. It's kind of overlooked, I think.
It is overlooked. That's why I'm interested to talk about it more, because first of all, how did you learn all that? Did you just do you read books, or do you have mentors, or do you just learn as you go? Like how did you figure that out?
I've read a lot of business books, like a lot. I'm obsessed with like self-help books, like not too much self-help, but more like businessy self-help kind of books.
Yeah.
And I have a 4-year degree in business, so I feel like I helped a little bit. As far as like, I kind of have
I'm so curious to know what business degrees are like now, because I also took business, but I graduated in 05, and you graduated what, like 15?
16.
2016.
Yeah.
So 10 years later. So I mean, Facebook was literally being invented while I was in college. So they were not talking about Facebook. They were not talking about any kind of social media at all. I don't even think social media existed. Maybe Facebook was around, but I don't know. I don't think so yet. So it must be so different. Like, what do they talk about in college now?
So I have a degree in business management, and the focus is
That's what I did.
Yeah.
Business management. 10 years makes a big difference, though, in that degree, I bet.
It does, but I think the focus in mine was like entrepreneurship. They had an entrepreneur program, and I didn't even want to go to college. I told my mom it was a waste of time.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of think college is good, but it's so expensive, and people go in debt for it. And if you're gonna do what I'm already doing, like, there's really there's no point. Just go on Amazon and buy a bunch of business books.
Yeah.
But the college thing where I'm at, I really felt like it was lacking in teaching like social media and things.
I was wondering, because I'm like, I feel like school is so behind whatever they teach. Like they're years behind. That's why it's so not helpful, because it's like they're so behind. I mean, even though they update the books every year, I'm like, what are you updating it for? You didn't include anything relevant.
Yeah, and like, I hate to, hate on old professors, but you have a person who doesn't even understand Facebook and Instagram teaching you a class about how to sell online. Like, what? That's kind of stupid, but they're, and those professors have really good old school knowledge about business fundamentals, and I think that's a good thing to learn from someone who's studied business for 30 years. But at the same time, like, how do you run Instagram ads today? Like, that's what I need to know. Like,
that's what I was wondering. Like, do they include stuff like that now? I guess not. No.
They got a long way to go, but they charge you like a lot of money.
So anyway, don't even get me started. It makes me so mad.
Yeah,
I feel like
it's kind of.
I mean, my whole family is like academia. I have like professor family members, so I don't want to speak like too badly about college, but I just feel.
I think it's good, but people spend a lot of money trying to go to fancy colleges, so just go to like a smaller school and pay less if you really are gonna do it. But I really like, for me, the way I get my business knowledge is just go on Amazon and read the top business books that everyone else is reading. Like, that's really the fastest way to get information. I'm reading a book of right now, The Simple
give me.
Path to Wealth.
Oh, let me write that down, because I
It's
always
good.
do like a quote every morning from a book that I'm reading,
Yeah,
and
it's
I'm almost
good.
to the end of this book, so I got to find a new one to do.
This one's good. It's about investing in stocks, and the time that you invest is in, like, I'm 25, so any stock that I buy, like right now, like if I buy Walmart stock and just hold it, it's going to go up. You know, it might go up and then down and then up and then down, but over time it'll go up. So that's,
As
and
long as the company's still around. A lot of companies
right.
don't make it, especially right now. Like, there's so many companies going out of business.
That's
So
true.
it is always a risk. And again, guys, we're not financial advisors by any means. But
Yeah, don't buy stocks if you're just doing this because of me.
but yeah, things always change. So just like how you want to be diversified in your entrepreneur business, you also want to be diversified in stocks, because anything that can happen happens,
Yes, like,
including a pandemic out of nowhere.
yeah, like
Um,
look at Carnival Cruise stock right now. It's like $11.
Exactly. Or look at Disney. I mean, who would have
Yeah,
thought Disney would ever have a problem? But
yeah,
I'm pretty sure they're having a big problem
yeah.
right now.
They can't charge people out the wazoo to go to the park right now.
I
So
know. So
yeah,
yeah, you can't ever think like, oh, it's definitely going to be like this. I mean, I learned that real early because I went through the housing crisis. So I grew up
oh, yeah.
thinking like, oh yeah, houses always go up. Like, I truly believed they always went up,
Mhm.
because they had always gone up my
Yeah,
whole life. I mean, I was so young, but my whole life. And then my parents, like, I
yeah.
always heard like buying a house was a good investment. And I bought a condo, and like a couple months later, it lost half its value.
Wow,
Like,
yeah.
and I was like, that can happen? Like, I was so
Yeah,
confused. I didn't understand that that could happen. And nobody really knew that it could happen, or nobody had
right.
prepared me that it could happen. So you just don't know. I mean, the stock market has always gone up, but it's only been around however long,
Yeah,
couple hundred years. You don't know if it will always go up. Just like you don't know with housing market if it'll always go up. We haven't had inflation or anything. I mean, things are crazy right now. So we
yeah,
don't know, but it's good to learn all those things. You're doing all the right things. You're learning how to buy a house. You're learning about stocks. You're learning about a business. The more things that you can know and do, if one thing does fall out and it's like,
mhm,
oh, wow, stocks really never came back, then it's like, well, that's okay, because I have a house. I have this online business. I
right.
have this and that. So just learning and preparing. And the compound interest thing, like, even if the stock doesn't go up, like, if you're still getting dividends, that's
Mhm.
compounding. And same with like the printables and stuff like that. It's
Yeah,
compounding, because you put it
yeah,
up for sale and it could sell your whole life. I mean, you don't know. You never know.
yeah,
So
yeah. That's one of my favorite things about print on demand and you know, digital stuff is like I have to put the work in one time, and then from then on, it's gonna hopefully make me money. So you know, it's what else can you say that about? There's no job that you can show up to one day and then they pay you for the rest of your life. Like
exactly.
that's not, you know, it's not real. But with digital content, like even my YouTube channel, it's not a big channel. I think I have like 5,000 subscribers, but it makes me like, I don't know, like $100 a month. Like, you
Exactly. It all adds
know,
up and it all keeps growing. Just like you said, like, I think we were talking beforehand about how, like, once you start having more subscribers, it just starts growing faster, because it's like
yeah.
the more you have, somehow it just keeps,
Yeah, more
and it,
people find you and you get recommended to more people. I feel like because I was making a lot of merch by Amazon videos and people were coming to my channel specifically for that, but then they would learn about something else because they came to my channel for the merch stuff. So I think YouTube is a great thing. Everybody should make a channel. I'm like kind of
yes,
obsessed with it.
I throw that in almost every show. I'm like, just start one. Because it's, if nothing else, it's like such a fun thing to have, like
Yeah.
a I don't know what you want to call it, document, or like a thing to
Yeah.
remember your own journey
Yeah.
by.
I've actually like I had a lot of good interactions with people because I have a channel, because like if I'm a YouTuber and another YouTuber messages me, I'm a lot more likely to reply to them than some random person who doesn't contribute and like doesn't do anything. Like, you know, why do I want to give really good information away to somebody who's not also giving information away? So that's kind of like I've met a lot of resellers through YouTube and Instagram that have told me stuff that they don't tell their audience. Like,
Right.
you know, you can't tell everyone everything. Um, And I think that's been a huge benefit. It's like it's an intangible benefit. Like
Yes.
You can't really put a finger on it, but it's there.
Absolutely. Yep. It's such a great way to meet people. Do you also go to any kind of conferences or any kind of networking things?
Okay, no, but like I told you earlier,
She's like, no, but
I just watched your 2-year anniversary show, and I heard you like talking a little bit about you had met people at conferences, and I'm like, why am I not doing this? I need more tax write-offs. Like I need to do this. Like
I definitely recommend it. I mean, who knows? Like now it's a whole new world. I don't know if there's even going to be conferences, but
it would be fun.
eventually it's got to happen. I don't know. Who knows? But I love it. I mean, it's such a great way to talk to people, because when you've met someone face to face, it's a lot easier to feel like you know them, like for them too. Like they feel like they know you because you've actually talked in real life. So, yeah.
I need to go to one. I need to go to like a meetup. The closest meetups probably for me would be Nashville, because I'm in like North Alabama, so they're not breaking down the doors here.
I had one in Georgia. How far is that from you?
It's not far.
That's a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll now you're in the group and everything. So I was really good about meetups last year. This year we did one in January, and then we were kind of being slow with setting them up, and then now this whole thing.
Yeah, camper on things.
So, yeah, we'll see if we get back into the groove of doing meetups, but.
That's cool though, because I know a lot of people make business relationships at those, and like they really like sometimes even find business partners at those.
That's what I did. Christina. I met Christina at my own meetup.
Oh my gosh.
That's so exactly how we met Christina. Yeah, I mean, you got to get out there and give people a chance to meet you. Like there's no way to meet you if you're not out somewhere. So almost everyone I've had on the show started at some point from me either meeting them or meeting someone that introduced me to them or something. I mean, now it's like I also reach out to like YouTube channels and things like that. But definitely in the beginning, I felt more comfortable if I had met the person, because I was still insecure, like trying to start a channel and you feel like nervous messaging people. So I felt a little bit more confident if I had met them before. So,
yeah, it just kind of eases the awkwardness a little bit. I really need to do that because I'm an introvert, like huge introvert, but I feel like I could get out of my comfort zone long enough to go to one of these things.
And it's so interesting. I can't decide if I'm an introvert or an extrovert, and I think I'm a little bit of both, because I don't mind talking to people at all. But by the end of the day, I'm like exhausted. Like it is so draining for me. And I think that's a sign of being an introvert. Like I must be trying harder than I think I'm trying, because I'm so tired by the end of the day. And even with the meetups, like I'm so tired by the end. So I think I'm somewhere in the middle. But it's fun I enjoy meeting people and getting to hear their stories. And
the ideas are the biggest thing for me, because I'm like, this is such an eye-opener when you talk to someone and they think a different way than you, and you're like, oh my gosh, like I never thought about it like that, and you come away from it with like a bigger perspective than you had before.
It's kind of the difference of like reading the full book, like you're reading a whole book this person is writing, versus like seeing a quote on Instagram. It's like you might really like the quote and be like, oh, wow, that'd be a great book. But if you read the whole book, you're going to get a lot more out of it. And I feel like that's the way it is. Like you can kind of talk to people on Facebook. Like you might say a sentence or two, but when you're meeting them in person, you're having a full conversation. And it's like so much different, because then you're really learning more, connecting all the different dots of like, oh, this is how they got from here to here. And, this is what they're doing now. And it's so much easier than just one or two sentences on Facebook.
Yeah, it definitely humanizes them more. Like I have a lot of people that I've known on the internet for like years, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna meet these people.
There's a few people like that. Like Joe Clay is like that for me, where I've met him. Like I've been on his show, he's been on my show. We've interacted for years in different groups, because he did FBA, and I don't know. So I've known him a long time, but I've never actually met him in person. But I think if I've done like a whole show with the person, like even with you, like it's almost the same. Like you at least feel like you've met them somewhere.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna know you now, like for sure. Like, and I didn't know you like when you asked me to be on the show. Like I I didn't know about your group, and now I'm in your group. So, like, I mean, I think nothing bad can come of it. Like, I really just like, I'm impressed by everything that you guys do, like the network and like the learning. And I need to be better at that. I need to.
Oh, well, thank you. That's so nice of you. Well, I'm impressed by you. So, and see, year 2, I finally work up the courage to ask you to be on the show. See?
I totally would have came on it 2 years ago. I wouldn't have been as good. I've gotten better at talking on camera. It's very awkward when you first start out.
Yes. And that's another good thing to remind people. Like, we all felt awkward when we first started with anything.
I feel
YouTube,
awkward
anything.
now.
Exactly. You just don't know. Okay, we got another question. Melinda's saying, maybe off topic, but do you all know how most merchants file in terms of being independent contractor, sole proprietor, stimulus help for those who need it? So many questions. I don't know. What do you think? I don't know if we should cover that or not. We're definitely not tax advisors. But do you want to say your 2 cents?
I would say get an accountant.
Yeah.
That's probably my advice because they're going to know what's best for you in terms of what you're doing. It's hard to give advice when I can't see what all you're doing, but I file as self-employed and, you know, I pay a lot of, I feel like I pay a lot of taxes. Do you feel like you pay a lot of taxes? Like,
Yeah, we always owe money. So I always, like, when the stimulus check thing came out, I was like, they definitely don't know my direct deposit. I don't even know if we're gonna get it or not, but
it's self-employed. You just have to, I don't really, I think that we will get it, but I'm not holding my breath for it.
yeah.
So,
I think most people who are getting it already got it, and I did not get it, so I'm like, I don't know.
but
I
yeah,
think
for
we'd be
tax
right on
stuff,
the edge.
I would try. My only tax advice is like try to pay quarterly something if you can, because that will make it easier for you at the end of the tax period. Because I pay in a little bit quarterly every quarter, and it just definitely helps the psychology of it, of having to write one big check at the tax time.
Right.
Yeah, that's taxes are no fun, but taxes it's good if you have to pay because it means you're making money. That's what my accountant told me. So
Exactly. That's exactly true. It's always good to have to pay. And it means that you got to take advantage of the money longer. Like, when you get owed money back, it means that the government got to hold on to your money for a while. So.
very true, very true. I have a lot of thoughts on taxes, and I try to be smart about it. But I mean, you know, you can't go around buying things you don't need just to offset your tax liability.
Right, right.
My accountant has many truisms of accounting, but she says don't spend $1 to save 30 cents if you don't need to. So I just try to keep that in mind whenever I
That's
buy.
a great little sound clip to remember. Like, don't spend $1 to save 30 cents. I like that. It's really true.
In November, December is when I really start like I need to buy some stuff to get off my taxes.
Yeah.
I'm in Walmart buying like garbage cans and like good stuff. And I was like, oh, I need a shelf. This is for inventory storage. Like,
There you go. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Melinda, I mean, it varies so much. I mean, we got people from all over the world on this show. So it varies by state. It varies by country.
don't take tax information off the internet from
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost better just to not even try to give advice on it because it's too specialized. There's too many scenarios, too many exceptions, too many different things that somebody could hear us say and take it the wrong way or like have it not apply to them. So plenty of people do sole proprietor, plenty of people do LLC. It really just depends. And it also depends on how much you make. I mean, if it's like, just a side business, you only make a couple thousand a year or something, then just stay a sole proprietor and don't worry about it. But if it's like your main business and you're making your full-time income, maybe think about doing an LLC or something like that. Oh, Dina Van Dam, thank you for being here. And congratulations on your win. I think you won one of the prizes last week. Melinda's saying there's a portal to enter your information for the stimulus check thing. I had some kind of error where it was just like, we have no information or something like that. So and when I read more about it, it's usually for people who don't qualify. And I felt like we qualified, but maybe we don't. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I think they were going off my 2018 taxes, and that year I sold a condo, and just there was a lot of stuff going on the taxes. There was so much income from various sources, and the rental income, and so I may have made too much that year. I'm not sure, but we're gonna file 2019 this weekend, I think, and see if maybe that would help. Hey, Young, how are you? Did I win something? He always says that. And Yang always goes to our meetups.
Oh, cool.
He doesn't actually. He just says he does. He lives in California, and most of the meetups have been on the East Coast, so it's like far for him. But he always is like, I had such a good time at the meetup. So one time we took a picture when we were at a conference. Christina and I took a picture, and we had like a blank spot in the middle. So people were laughing at us, like, do they really not want to stand near each other? And now with social distancing, it probably looks normal, but at the time it did not look normal. We were standing like apart, took a picture, and then photoshopped Yang into the middle of it, and was like, oh, we had so much fun seeing Yang at the conference.
Well, that's cool. He's there with you in spirit.
Exactly. Have you met Yang before or heard about Yang? No?
I've not met any resellers.
It's so funny how it's like different communities where it's like sometimes there's overlap and sometimes there's not. Because Yang's done FBA and eBay and merch and all those same things like you've done. But
I need to go on more shows. I think people have invited me, and I've kind of been bad about like, well, you have to get together and decide on what time. So I need to go on some more shows and just kind of talk to people. I need to have people on my show. I should do a show.
Well, just do the Calendly link like I did. It's made it so much easier, because what you said about like setting up a time, I used to try to coordinate with each person, and then sometimes they wouldn't be available, so then I'd have to remember to contact them again, and it was just like such a hassle. And then now, ever since I use Calendly, it's so easy. I'm like, do you want to be on the show? Here's the link. And then if they sign up, they do. If they don't, they don't. If they don't, I sometimes circle back if I'm running out of people or have more time, and then sometimes I don't.
Is StreamYard, is that what we're using right now?
StreamYard.
Is that free or is that a paid thing?
I'm on a paid version of it, but they do have a free version, which I used the first few months. The free version is perfectly fine. The only thing it doesn't do, it has like a little, instead of this Merch Money logo thing, it has a duck logo, but it's fine. I mean, it's not intrusive at all. But when you do the paid one, you can stream more than one place. So I have it streaming on Facebook and on YouTube and on like a Facebook page. So that's why I did the paid one, but it's totally fine if you don't do the paid one, because I actually think we probably should just go back to the free one, because it's wasting like $59 a month or something. And
that's it's expensive. I was thinking like 10 or 20. That's a lot for removing a logo.
Yeah, well, it's not just the logo, it's like the streaming multiple places, but it's like, because we're streaming multiple places now, not as many people are watching the YouTube channel, so it's made the YouTube channel grow slower. So I was thinking that if they were watching on Facebook, it would make the Facebook group and page grow faster, but it doesn't seem like it's doing that. Like, we've had the exact same or maybe even less growth this year. So I probably will end up switching back to the free one and just stream to YouTube.
Well, you've tried it this way, now you can try it that way.
Exactly.
Trial and error. Okay, so I'm gonna challenge myself to have a guest by the end of what's a good date for me to plan this. How about by the end of June, I've had someone come on my channel and do an interview.
Perfect. I love that challenge. See, this is how great entrepreneurs think. Like, just do it right now, quick. Instead of saying maybe one day I'll do this, it's like, you know what? I'm going to try it right now.
I'm really inspired by all of this, because I want to invite people on, but then I'm like, well, what are we going to talk about and what am I going to ask them? But we haven't really had any trouble coming up with anything to say. Like, it's just kind of a...
Yeah. And I don't even know if I'm at my like it does matter, like, your mood and how you like, it's easier to do a show when you're like super energized. And for some reason today, I'm like, I don't know if I didn't sleep right last night or what, I'm not energized. So it's like, hopefully it felt fine for you.
You're a great host.
But yeah, but most of the time it's super easy where it's just like, but again, it's like, it might not be super easy the first time. Like it's one of those things where it's like, you know, it's easy to make a merch t-shirt now, but it wasn't easy the first time you did it. So just whatever happens, and it should be fun. Maybe pick somebody that you already know a little bit or have had some kind of communication.
Yeah. I'll do that for sure. I don't know what we'll do it on, but I definitely want to start doing it more. I had this idea to interview people from my family one time, and I've never done it. I really want to do it because I have a lot of family members who work in like the banking and finance industry, and I'm like, well, nobody really hears that because they don't have a reason to have a YouTube channel. So like, I would like to put some of that information out there.
Do it. I think that would be great. And anything that you want to learn about, like I always look for guests that I don't know whether they know, because then it's like free training for me. Like I get to ask them any question I want, and then I learn what they know.
Idea, like the printables thing. Like I encourage everyone to do printables because you have nothing to lose. It doesn't. I mean, it costs 20 cents to put them up on Etsy, so
right.
You know, you could stock a whole store for less than $10 in your time. So I think there's definitely not really much downside to doing it.
Yep. Oh, thank you. It's a great and informative conversation. And then Helen doesn't know this, but there are great backgrounds in StreamYard, but I do like the stop sign. Patty, I do know it. I just don't use it. Doing more meetings now with Zoom, reunions, getting together. Yeah. Yeah, perfect. Well, was there anything else? I can't believe we're already to an hour. So was there any last things that you wanted to say or anything we didn't cover? Any advice you have for people?
Let's pull over my notes real quick. Oh, I know what I wanted to tell you guys really quick. When I was doing my research, I was seeing how many designs people had up because I was like, well, what is a fully stocked digital store? So I realized like I would look at the amount of designs in a shop and then I would see their sales. And I'm like, there's a correlation, obviously. So the more that you put up, the more designs you can sell. So now I have like 238 up and I have 850 or 890 sales. So you know, kind of think about like if you want to sell 1,000 designs, you need to have X amount of designs up because people can't, you know, if you only have 10, your market is much smaller.
Right.
And the way that people find you is typing in these phrases. So if you have 1,000 phrases up, you have 1,000 chances to be found. So it's not like with Merch by Amazon where it's just one shirt. Like you have an actual, you know, you kind of have more of a personality in a store. I don't know about you guys, but I stopped branding everything under one brand for Merch by Amazon because of the people who would come on and, you know. But with Etsy, I mean, you kind of have to have some kind of personality to your shop, and so I feel like the more you have up, the more you're showing yourself on the platform. So just kind of think about that when you're building your store. But that's my advice, is just to kind of have as many as possible. I know it's a lot of work to upload them, but I think I can probably get them uploaded now about 5 minutes per design. So if I was really diligent, I would probably spend an hour a day just, you know, doing uploads.
Awesome. Well, you have been so helpful today. So fun to talk to. I'm so glad I finally got to meet you. And anybody watching, like, I followed Isabella for like 2 or 3 years ago, and then I'm finally talking to her. So it's the same with you guys. Like if you watch this show, who knows, in a couple years, you might be like talking to us in person and inviting us on your show. You could start a show right now and invite us to be guests in a few months or whatever you want. So just keep growing, keep learning, keep talking to people. It's just a fun journey.
For sure. Well, thanks for having me on. I really had a fun time.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Well, we really had a great time too. And thank you so much. And so glad that you're in the group. So guys, if you have any questions, just feel free to comment on this video, or you can post in the Facebook group and either one of us will be able to answer. So.
I will love to answer questions. There's always stuff you think of after the fact.
Right, exactly. All right. Well, thanks so much, and we'll see you around. See you in the Facebook group. All right. Bye, everybody. See you later.